I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Adjourned regular meeting for Tuesday, July 31st, 2012 at 6 p.m. We can have roll call, please.
The record will reflect all members are present.
Our invocation by Council Member Campbell.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you so much, Father. And Father, we thank you so much for this gracious day, Father. And Father, we thank you so much for our city and our city staff, Father. And Father, we ask that you continue to watch over us this day, Father. And Father, I lift Mike King and his family up to you today, Father. Mike is blessed to enter into retirement. Today was his last day of work, Father. And I ask that you look over him and his family, Father, and give him a happy retirement, Father. Let him relax and continue to do your work, Father. And Father, we thank you so much for our church and our church families, and we thank you so much for your blessing, Father, and your Son, Christ, that died on the cross, Father, for all of our sins. And Father, it's such a blessing to know that you know all of us by name, Father, and we're your children, and we love you, and we keep you in our heart. And we ask that you continue to watch over us and bless us, Father, and watch over our children, and we ask all these things in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Campbell. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I would like to pull items 3B and 3D from consent and put them on regular business. So I make a motion to approve pulling items 3B and 3D from consent and putting them on regular business.
Second.
There's a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public appearances and comments. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda, not to exceed 4 minutes, that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. Is there anyone here who would like to go before council? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda, which is departmental reports. The first item is monthly staffing report by Shirley Bonias, our Personnel and Risk Management Administrator, and that actually will be completed by our city manager.
Yes, and Shirley's away on vacation. She did prepare an item for your review this evening, and that is shown on page 4 of the agenda. Major changes since you last saw this summary. We have initiated an in-house recruitment for a vacant and authorized firefighter position. We also have 2 testing dates actively underway as recruitment efforts for a dispatcher opportunity as well as an in-house sergeant hire. The dispatcher position is due to a vacancy, and the sergeant hire is due to the departure of one of our staff members today. So that opportunity is open to in-house applicants. We also have a position that has been accepted by the wastewater treatment plant operator 3. This is the assistant chief position that was identified in our budget. That individual is slated to begin first week in August. And short of that, the only other change that I wanted to make you aware of is we have named an interim Parks and Rec director. That is Richard Rubio. And Richard is on vacation, a pre-scheduled vacation this week, but we welcome him back in his new role.
Thank you for that update. I do have a question regarding the role Mr. Rubio is filling, which is the acting director. What about his position, his previous position?
So,
and do we need to fill that at this time?
We have an opportunity to go one of two ways. The vacated director position that he's occupying, he has moved into that role, and as a result of that, we have two supervisor positions that are split between the recreation-related activities and the facilities-related activities. We could look to fill that position of the supervisor role on an interim basis, or opt to freeze it and add the responsibilities from the supervisor position to Richard's core responsibilities as an interim director. So that's kind of the juncture we're at. I'm hoping to take a little bit of time to review and evaluate the pathways for it, and mostly wanted to give Richard an opportunity to get his feet wet in this new administrative role
Right.
before making any major decisions.
Okay. Since it is an interim position, it might be wise for us not to necessarily add another layer of administrative duties to somebody and maybe freeze that position for the time being. Is that a possibility?
It is most certainly a possibility if it's direction that the council wishes to get.
Yeah.
Any comments, questions regarding that from council?
I would agree with Mayor's recommendation.
Okay.
For present
So
time.
what I'll do is come back with a potential solution for the interim roles that Richard can fulfill during this time frame prior to the permanent hire. And we'll come back with some additional detail in September.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's all that I have on the monthly staffing report.
The next item on the agenda is departmental report, and it's an update regarding a $500,000 award of grant by North American Development Bank for lift station number 2 rehabilitation. And that is set to be presented by Yasmin Arellano, but I believe it's going to be our city manager.
Yes. Yasmin regrets not being here to share the good news. She's very proud of a recent grant award, no match requirements for $500,000 to address an aging and failing sewer lift station, station number 2, and provide for emergency backup generator for the sewer lift station number 1. So just wanted to make you aware of the good news and the good work of staff.
That is good news.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that. And how quick can we?
There are some pretty swift timing expectations associated with this project. We're anticipating within 9 months or less to deliver that project, and I'm going to look over to Ruben. Yes.
Yeah, because that lift station is in need of help.
It's 9 months to.
Mayor, council members, Ruben Mireles, Operations Division Manager. It's 9 months to completion of project. So we need to move very fast with the specs and with the design. We have the design currently, but it's an old design.
Mhm.
They're gonna review it, and hopefully we can get that done, rather quickly, and then move forward with the bidding documents.
Because we're having issues with this facility right now, aren't we?
Yes, it's crumbling at the upper half of that lift station
Mhm.
because of all the sewer gases.
Right.
And so it needs to be replaced rather soon.
Thank you for that update, Ruben. We appreciate it.
Good
Mr.
job to
Miranda.
staff. This is really good.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Keep in mind, we pulled item B and D to include in regular business. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, moving item B and D to regular business with everything else that's presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Anything for discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to regular business, we'll begin with item B from the consent that was pulled in regular business. No?
And I just wanted to point out to council that In light of comments that you recently shared regarding a desire for additional detail on expenditures, you'll see a new way of the check register information being presented. They're actually a standalone item that was left at each of your stations, and our expenditures by fund and department are basically cross-referenced with the check register that you would normally see. So we're hoping that this addresses some of your interest in seeing exactly what items were included and where those expenditures are being housed from a department point of view.
I do prefer this much better than we were, what was shared with us before, so.
Great, and I want to thank our finance director for being willing to play with the system and see how we could manipulate the data that's normally there and use the database to better serve our needs.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item D from consent that was pulled into regular business.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I think we actually need the council to approve.
Approve?
Yes.
So approve the accounts payable for July 11th, July 12th, July 19th, and invoice approval list.
So move.
Second. I second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
And that does look good, Ruby. Thank
There
you.
you go. That was a comment. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is item D from the consent that's pulled into regular business. It's bid award for project number 2012-16, Emergency Operations Center and Police Department painting and flooring remodel.
So Mayor Nava and Council, this is a project that's been in the wings for some time. We had a bid opening scheduled for yesterday. The way the content was presented in the staff report was assuming we had a competitive set of bids and that we'd be awarding a bid tonight. Unfortunately, only one bid came forward, and the dollar values are beyond our internal estimates. So at this point, it's the recommendation of staff to refer to the replacement staff report at each of your stations and reject the bids proposed for the EOC and police department rehab activities.
Is there any discussion on this item? Anyone would like to make a motion to reject the bid?
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to reject bid for project number 2012-16. Any discussion?
You have, we're gonna rebid this.
We have had a quick consultation with the architect of record. There is a desire to take a second look at the scope of work and be certain that we're kind of best positioned for competitive bids. So our hope is to take the next few weeks to do so and then get it back out. We do have some obligations associated with the CalEMA funding and the police department, the rehab work that is included with the scope. The reason they were combined is because our hope was there'd be some economies of scale. Unfortunately, that wasn't achieved, and they've waited over a year to have that project completed. So we'll be looking at a number of options with the intention of delivering both the rehab work and the EOC within a reasonable timeframe.
And the dollar figure is over $300,000, right, from what the proposed?
Right, and I think that warrants a second look simply because we're,
That's
the
right.
financial situation and everything else.
Well, just to,
That's a lot. That's a lot of
It's a
money.
big variation.
right, we just need to make sure that we're really in the ballpark there as far as what our estimated budget should be, so,
Because
something-
we had a grant and we had some
Right.
additional money set aside, but I don't think we want to go much over that anyway.
Well, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes.
So our timeline on being able to execute the grant monies?
course.
I'm going to look to Stephen real quick. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's March 2013. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen.
Steve Sullivan, Public Works, how y'all doing? I believe it's May 2013.
May. Okay.
What do we have to have in place by May of 2013?
The building.
Completed?
Correct.
Okay, then it seems time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
'cause
we want to consider separating these two and making it easier?
That's definitely a possibility. The EOC would be at the forefront of expending those funds.
yeah, 'cause part of that was for some upgrades in the facility that was needed, so.
Okay.
I'm like Ryan, maybe we can.
It's a good question, Councilmember Kelly.
Okay, yeah. And the grant does cover the EOC, not the other.
Right,
Right.
the PD rehab work is covered
Right.
through
Asset
asset forfeiture
forfeiture.
funds that have been set aside for this
So we may
purpose.
want to consider separate.
Okay. Well, the motion again is to reject the bid, and there's a second. Any further discussion at this point? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. But with respect to the questions that were asked of our council members, what would be the next step in this process?
My hope would be at our first meeting in September that if we, that we would have an update to you on the preferred project approach.
Okay.
And hopefully a time frame for going out to bid a
Okay.
second time.
8 months,
Satisfies council?
9 months.
Yeah.
9 months.
Not long. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're going to move on. Regular business. Item A, review and approve second-tier retirement benefit policy for new hires.
Okay, so this item has been long in the making. The council has seen a draft version of the policy, and what's before you tonight is consideration of a policy that just looks at one element. And while public discussions have centered around many ways to potentially change the CalPERS benefit for new hires, what is before you tonight is only a change to the employee contribution from the time of hire. And you'll see there is an associated resolution pertaining to that same subject. And again, it only affects new hires. And it involves 100% of the employee contribution from the time of hire. And are there any questions on the policy as it's presented? There were many other variations on the policy that were considered. At this time, it's staff's recommendation to simply address the employee contribution, no formula changes otherwise to age of retirement or highest years of earnings.
A little bit this up to council. Is there any comments or questions? I know it's something we've been working on for quite some time. Any comments, questions from council at this point? I'll make a motion then to approve the second-tier retirement benefit for new hires policy. So that's my motion.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have to.
Any opposed? And
Roll call.
roll call on the resolution?
If we could have a roll call on the resolution.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilman,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Nava.
Yes. Thank,
Mayor Nava, could you please repeat who the first and second were by?
I made the motion.
I
and
second.
it was seconded by Mr. Miranda.
Thank you very much.
That for the resolution also.
Yes. Adopting the resolution.
That was a separate.
Well, that was, right?
That's to be the next one.
We
Okay.
haven't done that.
You're referring to item B.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right. So the next item on the agenda is regular business. Item B, adopt resolution number 2012 dash, it's not determined yet, relating to employees represented by the Brawley Firefighters Association Local 1967 bargaining unit regarding payment of CalPERS members' contribution, 9% of the employee portion of CalPERS beginning August 1st, 2012.
Mayor Nava, we
Yes.
actually need to step back one moment. The council has approved the second-tier benefit policy, but has not approved the resolution pertaining to unrepresented individuals who will be subject to the new hire policy.
So A1.
Yes.
Okay. Make a motion, is it through a motion, or are we going to go individually and
It can be done through a motion, a single motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item A1, adopt resolution number 2012 relating to new employees not represented by a recognized bargaining unit regarding payment of CalPERS member contributions, approving second-tier retirement benefit policy for new hires. That's my motion. Is there a second to the motion? It's been seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Couchman. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? See none, motion carries. Thank you. And we'll move on.
Okay. The next item that is on the agenda pertains to firefighters. The resolution that's before you, similar to that which preceded this action, involves those members that are represented by Firefighters Local 1967. And what is proposed in connection with this resolution is that beginning August 1st, 2012, all firefighters, not just new ones, but all firefighters will begin paying the employee portion of CalPERS at the 9% contribution level.
And the city manager's recommendation is obviously to approve. I know we've discussed this several times in closed session, and we're at the point to make a decision now.
Yes.
Is there any discussion by council? Any questions?
I move that we set the recommendation from city managers.
I second that motion.
There's a first and a second. Any further discussion on this item? See none, I'll call for the vote. All of those in favor of adopting resolution number 2012 relating to employees represented by the Brawley Firefighters Association Local 1967 bargaining unit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? See none, motion carries. Next, go ahead.
The third resolution that's before you this evening pertains to the position of city manager. As you may recall, back in March of 2012, an amendment was entered or was approved by the council that required the city manager to contribute in the same proportion as any single employee who was affected by a change in the pension benefit. So by virtue of this resolution, which will be forwarded to CalPERS, the city manager will begin payment of the employee portion at the 7% level, which is the same amount as all miscellaneous employees, the employee portion beginning August 1st, 2012, to be a companion effort to firefighters and any unrepresented new hires that are on the horizon.
Is there any discussion by council? Not, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 2012 relating to the city manager's payment of CalPERS contribution, 7% of the employee portion of CalPERS beginning August 1st, 2012.
I second that motion.
There's a motion to approve and there's a second. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is regular business. Item D.
Okay, and I actually have a quick PowerPoint to do for you. Wanted to also take a moment to recognize Mark Baza in the audience. He is the Executive Director of the Imperial County Transportation Commission, and he'll be here to provide support on this topic as needed.
And item D, I should clarify, is consideration of potential future relinquishment of State Highway 86 from 0.3 miles south of Legion Road to City of Brawley West city limits. So that's clarification of that item.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
before you begin, I want to address these actions that we're taking on the pension and the reform that the city's taking. I believe that, and I hope that all city staff understand that we were trying to be very upfront with what the conditions were, where we were going, and trying to bring them along with us. These actions are within what we discussed in our workshop in January, and one bargaining unit came forward and wanted to take an opportunity to reach an agreement that allowed them to start the process, allowed us to get the ball rolling. But I just wanted to please disseminate this, that we're not doing something that we didn't say we were going to do back in January, and we're being consistent with the message that we delivered at that workshop. So
Good point.
I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. And the Brawley firefighters, I know there's representation here from them. We thank them as well. I know it's a long process, so thank you.
And with that, there is an item contained in your backup that is the technical study for a document that is referenced here. So just to refresh everyone's memory on what Highway 86 is throughout the valley. Okay, this is the most important slide. A number of jurisdictions have stepped forward and indicated an interest in potential relinquishment of Caltrans right-of-way within their jurisdictions. As a result of these inquiries, Caltrans planning staff have taken a global view of 86 and in its entirety. And 86 in its entirety obviously takes in the city of Brawley. And as a result of that examination, you'll see in the backup a study that was prepared, a preliminary study in July of last year to look at portions of 86 in affected jurisdictions and the potential looking at 86 as a whole to explore relinquishment. Since that work was completed, a number of conversations have been pursued by Caltrans District 11 staff. And at this juncture, the city of Brawley is being asked to consider future relinquishment under a set of terms that are not known at this stage. I know this may raise more questions than it does answer them, but the short version of why it would be important to go on record with an opinion is if we wish to oppose a future relinquishment, we need to state so. The California Transportation Commission needs to know that the city of Brawley is opposed to a relinquishment. Or if we see the future of the city, the greater benefit to be taking control of the right-of-way and having better local supervision and oversight of the types of improvements that occur through the center of the city, that might be a reason to look further down the road at the gains to be made from relinquishment. I would be remiss to omit comments that have been shared by staff, which are, we struggle today to maintain the roadways that are currently within our city limits, for which we have responsibility. And the notion of adding additional mileage to our maintenance obligations are a concern with current staffing levels and resources. What is before you tonight is a suggestion and recommendation that we forward a letter indicating our interest. This is a no obligation letter, but it is a letter that intends to put us in a queue from today to anywhere in the next 10 years when Caltrans may be in a position and have resources available to negotiate with us on future relinquishment. By forwarding this letter, we would get in line for the preparation of a project study report, which takes this global view and just hones in on the portion that's within city limits. So as the backup suggests, this is as you enter the city of Brawley from the west at Las Flores or just beyond Las Flores in Maine. You travel eastward and then southward on First Street to just beyond Legion Road. That is the portion that today is Caltrans right away, and that might be considered in the future for potential relinquishment and control by the city of Brawley. And with that, if you have any questions that you wish to address me with, or Mark Baza, we're both here to answer them.
So basically, before we can even move forward, the study has to be done first. It has to be
Mr.
performed
Baza,
first.
if you could join us on the east side, please. You're being filmed. You're famous, so, yeah.
And the camera.
And I know too how important it is. Mark's probably willing to put a river walk or something down through there.
There you go. Mr. Baza, is there any comments you'd like to share with us regarding this?
I guess what I'd like to share is, the importance of a letter that from your jurisdiction as Caltrans says that they have resources that could be committed to carry out this technical study. The study makes no commitment to anybody about relinquishment. The study would allow them to do the necessary work to say, well, what's the status of the existing route? How much repair would be necessary, and what that cost would be. And so that's a value in itself. As in better times, maybe the resources may become available for the route to be relinquished or considered to be relinquished.
Right.
In addition to potential letters, we are working on a proposed legislation that would allow the potential to break up a route. Right now, Caltrans and the CTC only have authority to relinquish an entire route. The legislation that we're considering would allow to break apart portions. And if you are agreeable, just as you were agreeable in your previous relinquishment that you accepted,
111.
that then you could do that. Right now, they have no authority to break apart the route as it stands now, and so.
Meaning break apart within city limits and, right.
Yeah. We know that the city of El Centro, I believe, or at least we believe that they are addressing a potential letter this week, as you guys are considering that. The city of Imperial has sent a letter to Caltrans expressing their interest. We believe that the county is prepared to write their letter as the CEO has been given authority to prepare that letter, submitting to Caltrans.
Yeah.
So
Cuts Imperial in half, 86 does, so.
Right. This is, I would say that, this potential relinquishment is consistent with our long-range plan,
Right.
considering Forester Road as being the future, 86 in the future, once it's, brought up to a level of 4-lane highway, as many of you know from previous plans. And so I think that those are the key highlights that I wanted to share regarding this.
Thank you, Mr. Bazas. Any questions, comments from council?
Well, I think it's probably a good idea to get the study done. I don't think we're in any position to say we're going to accept relinquishment or not. I think the study will give us a better idea and some more information in order to make that decision at a later time. I also believe that the relinquishment probably won't occur for quite a few years in the future, and so that's another issue. I think, though, by writing the letter, we are kind of making a statement that we're somewhat in agreement that we would maybe look favorably upon relinquishment. Whereas if we don't do the letter, then it's pretty much rest assured that we don't want relinquishment, and we may not get that opportunity in the future to consider that. So I think we probably need to go through with the letter. I don't want them to think, though, that because we send the letter, that means that we're going to accept the issue and do something about it right away, because I don't think we're prepared to do that at the present time.
Well, they could likely force the issue on us anyway. I mean, it's probably in our best interest to get. Yeah. Right?
Can they actually force the issue on us?
No.
They cannot. Okay. Well,
No, you have to go through the whole process of agreeing to accept
Right.
that.
Right. I think we're
Whatever
going to put
those
ourselves
terms would be.
in a better position if we
Do the study.
letter expressing interest and we take it from there.
I don't think we lose
Yeah.
anything
No,
from that. I
absolutely
think we have a little bit to gain in increased knowledge and information, and that's probably
Sure.
the way we need to go.
Is there any other comments from council at this point?
Yeah,
Questions?
I agree. The study needs to be done. If I can remember, 15, 20 years ago, this issue came out. and all the communities in the Pearl Valley were against it because there was no studies on it. The state just wanted to come in and reroute 86, I believe, Forster Road. And so now, mostly everybody being in favor, perhaps the study will be more feasible and then we can take action on that.
Well, any other comments, questions? I make a motion, we direct the, well, I'm sorry, was there additional
Yeah.
comment?
So it does say in the material that they would prefer that any request for the study be from a genuine interest in relinquishment, and that speculating and just feeling out the ground is not the right course for an entity to come into this. And then also, the state of California won't have any funds available for this. For how long, Mark?
You know, that's a very good question. I have no crystal ball, but I think that with Caltrans and the CTC, as they start to evaluate, their resources and they're going through their own level of reorganization, so to speak, that the state may consider dedicating dollars to relinquishments. So I think that there is that potential that dollars could be set aside for relinquishments, because as the state is considering its resources to be able to maintain all the system that they have responsibility for, that they may consider setting aside certain amount of funds towards relinquishments. And going back to the Q issue, if you're in one of the this region being one of the few that's willing to at least consider it, and in the letter, as I mentioned to Councilman Kochman, that it doesn't commit you, even though you're expressing an interest in the potential. It's not making any commitment to you to say that you must follow through with that relinquishment. If the study tells you X amount and you're not satisfied with the return on, or let's say if there was to be resources and the amount that Caltrans is offering you, that you have no commitment to say, yes, we're accepting that facility. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend that unless you felt this body felt confident about what, just as you recently did in your previous action on Route 78.
What would, so they've already ventured this, they haven't completed the 111 bypass. What's the probability of seeing any improvement on Forester?
Right now, I'd say not likely.
So that once the new roadway is complete, then they would like to be able to step away from 86 as it currently is routed.
And I would say they're willing to even look in pieces. Let's say if the resources come for X amount, and let's say out of the few jurisdictions, the county, Imperial, or El Centro, that were serious about a potential relinquishment, it would allow them to negotiate that relinquishment. So there's no commitment to what it means to Forester Road. My vision in the near term is to do maybe the preliminary project study report that it's the first level of preliminary engineering that would tell us what the real cost, the ballpark cost of what improving Forester Road to a 4-lane highway as is proposed in the long-range plan. That's my most immediate goal for that project, and I believe that we have the resources on the horizon to do that in the next couple of years.
Oh, to do the study.
Yeah, to do the study. But that that's being said, is could we look with that project study report? Could we look at some interim improvements? Let's say maybe some operational improvements as a first phase. maybe some left turn pockets or turn pockets here and there that would allow traffic to move forward in certain sections.
Good point.
I do like the idea of breaking it up because there are segments of 86 that run close, like in the park there and near the old water plant and everything. That's pretty much in the center of Brawley, but when you get out onto the highway section, when you're heading by Walmart, that might not be as good a deal for us. We might be more apt to take over something that's right in the center of the city as opposed to, say, something that's sort of out of town still, so to speak, or out on a corridor where the traffic is relatively quick and fast and a lot of trucks and everything. So, we have to look at those types of things. I think the study may give us some information in that area, but I think without the study, I don't think we're going to be much in favor of taking something that we don't fully have a lot of information on or cost value, that there's negatives and positives to the relinquishments. And I think we have to look at that.
The letter and the study could also, let's say that you mentioned the segment in front of Walmart, and right now you already have one development going.
Yeah, it's developing, so who knows where it's going to be.
It's happening.
Yeah.
But that
The housing out there,
we've talked about other things about potentially requesting Caltrans to reduce the speeds or reduce the classification of that facility to what they call a conventional highway, which is what 78 is. Now that is like under their standards right now is an expressway standard. It's just the next level below a freeway. That's why they are reluctant to or won't allow sidewalks in that area. But if you get some legislation and the efforts going, that you could then easily make that request to downgrade that facility because it's
just that stretch or something, right?
Yeah. I think your argument for that becomes
stronger, sure.
Pretty assured thing.
Yeah, because if it develops as it's planned, and it may take 10, 15 years where there's housing development, commercial development. There's already that now. It could be something that could work to our benefit there. So
yeah, conceivably you could just keep it the way it is, state highway facility, until Forester Road comes to being.
Yeah, 30 years.
That's conceivable. You could make no decision until that time. So you feel the time is right, the financing, the resources are right.
With respect to a letter expressing interest, I began a motion, I believe, there earlier. So I'll finish that up. I'll make a motion, the city of Brawley, either the mayor or council or our city manager writes a letter expressing interest in relinquishment of State Highway 86.
To move forward with the study.
To move forward, right. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? See none. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baza.
Thank you, Mr. Baza. I appreciate you coming down here. Next item is regular business E. And that will be presented by
Money.
Good
Finance
evening,
Director.
Mayor, council members, Ruby Walla, Finance Director. What you find on pages 106 through 114 is our ROPS for the period of January 2013 through June 2013. Before we proceed, though, in your packets, we have, actually, you should have received an updated or revised ROP schedule. And with the bids of the EOC and reviewing the application and how the funding sources were identified, back when the application was submitted for the EOC, $160,000 of RDA funds were committed in that application. If you recall back in one of our ROPS, the January 2012 through June 2012, we did submit for STK Architecture for their portion of $56,000. However, DOF denied that line item. So what we're trying to achieve with this ROPS is actually not so much using the contracts with the consultants or any contract that we initiate. We're going by the application and proposing it and displaying it as a match requirement that was entered into with CalEMA. So that was effective October 2010. So that's what you see on your new schedule. That's different from what was originally placed in your packets. Everything else remains the same, and it's pretty much a carryover for the rest of the fiscal year. And there's no new changes. So if you have any questions.
So you're hoping that the different documentation will help
With the approval.
will help with the approval, even though it's been rejected in the past.
Right, because the issue with the item, how it was presented, we did specify that it was in the grant application and it was for the engineering cost. However, since we entered into the agreement with STK after the June 27th, 2011 deadline, they denied it just based on that agreement being signed later after that date. Now our approach is basically, since the project is still something that we're trying to move forward with, we're going to try this approach and see if that better serves their eligibility process.
And Mr. Mayor, if I might add one point, if we are not successful with getting the Department of Finance to approve that cost, we will be self-funding
General
that
fund.
match requirement.
All right, so it's worth a shot.
And then I also want to mention, I just got an email late this afternoon that this ROPS will potentially be coming back for approval. No changes. However, DOF has just said that they're posting a new ROPS format, a template that they will be using. Since this ROPS needs to be submitted by September 1st, and we're going dark in August. That's why it's being presented to you today for approval, and then will then be presented to our oversight board. But just to give you a heads up that it potentially will come back just in their new form that they're actually posting tomorrow.
Are there any other questions, comments from council regarding this item? Is there a motion to adopt a resolution?
I make a motion we adopt the resolution for ROPS.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? See none. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you, Ruth.
Next item on the agenda is regular business. Item F, review and authorize letter of public convenience and necessity to Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control for Dollar Tree Stores, Inc. at 283 Main Street.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, we have received a request from the Dollar Tree store located on Main Street. The way the ABC permit process works is the city has to actually sign off on a public convenience and necessity being met due to a number of characteristics that our community in this area have. The item has been circulated to both the police department as well as the the planning department, and we are proposing a condition be attached to this, which is consistent with the way we have addressed other items that were before the city. And that is to require the installation of high-definition video surveillance equipment, that the material is made available to the city's police department within 24 hours of request. The applicant has indicated that they have no objection to cooperating with us.
99-cent tall boys, I guess, right? Is that what they're shooting for?
Beer and wine.
Yeah.
Beer and wine.
Beer and wine. That's interesting. Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve the request.
Second.
There's a motion to approve. There's a second. Any discussion? See none. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, information item, building permit summary for June 2012.
So this summary is prepared for the month of June. It's intended to be a snapshot from the building official's point of view of permits that have been let in the city of Brawley. And you may find that summary on page 122 of the agenda. No action is to be taken at this time. It's just to advise you of the activity underway in city limits.
Thank you. Are there any comments, questions regarding the information item from council? Seeing none, we're going to move forward to city council member reports. We'll begin with council member Miranda.
Just got a few to report. I wasn't prepared last meeting. I attended the week of the 7th through the 11th through the annual conference of La Raza held in Vegas. I had a meeting prior to the ones that we attended in May with the Hispanic market, that it's one of the sponsors every year. And they're targeting basically in California. They're going to be again in Los Angeles for all those potential Hispanic markets that are focusing in California, actually in Southern California. It was very positive. I also met with the CEO and some of the staff of Raza Development Fund out of Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. They're getting some funds allocated to provide grants. They're trying to go into linkages and work on various resources, education, and also in communities. One of the workshops that I attended, very positive, it was called Innovative Government. It spoke about all elected and appointed positions as far as how to work together and work more feasible with staff, as well as sharing resources among the community. And it was very nice. It was very positive. And I encourage the next event, or actually workshop is going to be held in LA. Hopefully some of you could attend. It'll be very positive. And like I said, all the Latino marketing wants to open business in Southern California. And of course, they're targeting into higher Hispanic communities. And they're aware that Imperial Valley is one of the highest Hispanic communities in Southern California. So hopefully some of us, or one, or perhaps the mayor could attend. That's going to be in November. And as soon as I get the information, I'll provide it to Rosanna, so she could bring it to some of us. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, council member Miranda. We appreciate that. Council member Kelly.
I attended a meeting on the F-35 task force. Met with the hired lobbyist, Stephen Moffitt, and they did mention the current status and how they plan on proceeding, on focusing on trying to get the squadron location to NAF El Centro, but at the same time building the case to, as we are high on the list for base closure if it does come about, that any activity we have in bringing F-35 will also help us maintain or keep the training facility that we already have. So it was very interesting, and there's a lot of work that's been done, and it looks like there's a very good opportunity, although we are in second position at the moment. Also, I wanted to bring to your attention that a community member, Sheila Riley, was in the storm last night. She witnessed a vehicle go into the Central Main Canal, and she stopped. And she saw a person come out of the vehicle, was having a very hard time in the strong current. So she went into the canal and she pulled that person out. Our own squad, Captain York, was on that call. I would like the city to recognize Sheila Riley with the Public Safety Committee, the Fire Department, Mr. York, and her son Justin was also on the call. Because I think it's a good thing to promote the citizenry and a good deed, promote that kind of activity, and to honor somebody that's done that and let them know that this is the this is something that we should expect of our neighbors, and just a grand thing to be able to reach out and make an effect on somebody like that. You never know if you're going to be that person that'll have that will to put your own life at risk. And I'm sure that Mrs. Riley was in shock after the fact, but she definitely was. So I'd like to see that happen.
Thank you for bringing that forward, Councilmember Kelly, and something that we'll work at doing. Absolutely. Councilmember Campbell.
The only thing I have to report, I attended the Sunrise Power Link dedication last week up on the hill, and I attended the groundbreaking 17 months ago when that project first started, and it is unbelievable that those folks built 117 miles of transmission line and a substation of the nature that they did to get that project completed. I mean, it's just unreal what they accomplished using helicopters and dynamite and haul trucks, and it's a beautiful project. And there is some folks that was opposition to that project, but I think it was a good deal for the state to get that done. And my hat goes off to the folks that made that happen. That is a great project, and all of the cities and counties and Sempra, San Diego Gas and Electric had a part of that. So those folks did a good job. And again, I want to thank our staff for their work today. I went out and visited a couple of sites today, guys pumping water and the water break over at the yard over there. Our staff was out there working visible all day doing certain things. So good job, guys. And may God continue to bless you and your families. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Campbell. Mayor Pro Tem Couchman.
Yes, I attended the Chamber Mega Mixer on Thursday, I believe it was, last Thursday. Well attended at the Stockman's Club, good event, a lot of opportunity to showcase local business. Quite a few people were there. I met some new business people in Brawley that are starting some potential businesses. Hopefully we can support them. One of the issues that they brought up was parking on the main area of downtown, where people park for long periods of time and they don't come in and then move along. They park there all day. And what happens is that does affect some of our smaller businesses located on some of the side streets because there's simply not enough parking. So I think we may be able to address that problem, or at least look at that problem. It's just something to think about. But the Mega Mixer was certainly great, and it was well attended, and I thought the Chamber did a fine job. I also had the privilege of attending our going into the Lions Center in the last couple of weeks to see our summer youth programs in action. Those people don't get enough credit for what they do. I happen to take my grandson over there several different times and pick him up from that facility. It is organized chaos, but it's a great thing for the kids. I don't know how the staff handle it. They look like they're handling it very, very well. I would go crazy in about an hour. But they've got those kids going. They've got them on some organized programs. They're keeping them physically active. They're inside, which is good. I think they take them swimming once a week. But they've got all ages, and they've got them all in there. And the staff does I think, a really wonderful job with them, and the kids really enjoy it. So hats off to the Parks Department for that. I do see fire around town. I see the police department around town. I also see Public Works. They were working very hard today in rubber boots trying to get water out of the drains and other things, and that's very, very important. But my hat's off to all the city employees, but those people over the summer youth programs, if you don't have an opportunity to go visit that, you really should. It's very eye-opening. Thank you. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Couchman. So an hour, you'd go crazy after an hour? That's a long
5
time.
minutes.
Yeah, I'd say 5 or
trying to
10.
be,
Yeah.
That
was, well, first and foremost, it's been said here before tonight, but would like to thank city staff, police, fire, Public Works. I know they were doing a tremendous job with all the rainfall the past couple of days, and there's a lot of water out there. I visited a few work crews today, and there's a lot of complaints from residents, and they're expressing their frustration with them directly. So I understand it's you're having to deal with the public in that manner. Sometimes it's not real comfortable, especially when you're trying to get the job done. So thank you to staff for putting up with the fact that not everybody's as understanding as others. But it's a hard job, and I didn't envy that at all. So congratulations to staff and thank them. I also attended the Mega Mixer this past week. It was well attended, and there were some businesses there that I hadn't seen before. There's some new ones that came into Brawley, and one woman in particular, she's opening up a laser engraving facility here in Brawley, and she's looking for a storefront. So I look forward to seeing that business, and hopefully we have a ribbon cutting soon, and that would be nice to see that business flourish. I know that we purchase items here within the city, like plaques and awards and things like that, and she had some really nice items out there. So I think if we kept that business local, it'd be a good thing. Also attended the ICTC meeting, and one item of significance that was mentioned there from Caltrans was that the Brawley bypass ribbon cutting is tentatively scheduled for mid-October. So that is much sooner than even we had anticipated, because they had said like November. So sometime in mid-October. I don't have specifics yet, but it looks like that's going to take place sometime soon. It looks like the progress is on track, and it's looking good. So I also briefly had a conversation with Mr. Chandi the other day, and they had said, and I'm not sure how firm the date is, but it may be a little bit delayed now with the weather, but at least tentatively they had wanted to get their work completed by August 7th. So we'll see if that's the time frame they stick to or not, but that's exciting. We have some new development out there, the Del Taco and the AMPM and the car wash. I'm sure the car wash is going to be used pretty soon, quite a bit, right? So it was nice to see him here in Brawley. He's looking closely at his project, and he did have a lot of positive things to say about the staff of the city. He was very happy with not only the city manager's office, but with everyone else that he's encountered here. So he was very, very thankful for the work that the city's provided, and he's happy that it's moving forward. So I appreciated his comments very much, and I wanted to share that with all of you because he's excited about being here, and I'm excited about having his businesses here. So that's my report, and I'm moving on to our city manager's report.
I have 3 quick items to review with you. The first is that the Public Works Director, as well as Ruben Mideles and I, met with IID Energy staff late last Friday, to discuss the need from Caltrans and IID's point of view to remove a line of trees in the city of Brawley along Main Street. And unfortunately, it totals 22 palm trees along the north side of Main from about Las Flores to First Street. And if you get a chance to head down Main and look to the north, you'll see large X's on the faces of these trunks for those that are still there. 1 or 2 have been removed already. The age of the palms continues to be a problem as well from Caltrans' point of view, that they now have a certain pitch to them that make them likely to fall. And from IID Energy's point of view, the height continues to be a struggle to maintain at the tops of the palm trees. So they do have plans in the month of August to remove all of the palms. I have initiated a discussion with regard to potential for replacement of those trees. Staff is concerned about the ongoing maintenance responsibility. If we had an opportunity to replace them and have them planted by the IID, they will not be responsible for future maintenance. It would be responsibility that the city would absorb in our Streets and Utilities division. However, I think there are some real aesthetic trade-offs to Main Street and the historic entrance to the city. So having said that, I hope to have more information to share with you in the coming weeks. My intention is to work with the Brawley Beautification Committee to come up with a couple of options. IID has requested that the maximum height of the trees be approximately 30 feet or less. So we've got a set of constraints that we'll be working with them to address. I'm not certain that all 22 palms will be proposed for replacement because there is limited irrigation at some of the parcels that front Maine. And as you drive along there, you'll see some of them actually have irrigation and grass, and some are simply dirt areas that a palm tree was able to flourish in, but may not be a set of conditions that any other type of tree could survive in. So with that, I will bring some additional information to you in the month of August via email.
Does staff, just a quick question, does staff have any suggestion with respect to like a replacement tree that could go in now?
We have done some brainstorming as recently as yesterday. I am waiting for Mr. Rubio to come back from vacation as well because he does have some great hands-on experience on what trees can make it in our local conditions, which are maintenance intensive.
Yeah, right.
So our hope is to develop kind of a set of options that give IID lots of great opportunities to cooperate with us. And they have replaced trees in other jurisdictions in the past, and I'm hopeful that will be successful.
How long have those trees been there, do you know?
No, I'm
50s.
yeah,
Longer than that, I think.
Been there quite some time, I'm sure. So, okay.
So that's that item. Also wanted to make you aware that our plan is to go dark in August for City Council. So this is our last meeting of the summer. And next week I have scheduled a week off, and Ruby Walla will be in the acting city manager position and housed here in this building for the week with our staff. And with that, that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Moving on to our city attorney's report. It's update regarding 1592 East A Street.
Good evening. I've been asked to give you an update with respect to this property. Some of you may recall this was one of those properties that the city initiated an eminent domain proceeding on in order to do some street improvement work. It appears that the folks that didn't come to agreement then are still have an interest in the property. But I would say, and I'm not making light of it, but I think a lot of them had passed away at the time, and I think that's part of the situation with the property. And so, as I indicated at the last meeting with respect to these receivership properties, this is on the list. I'm hopeful to get the title work done or receive it within the next couple of days. I've requested that it be done, and then it'll just be a matter of making sure everybody gets proper notice, because as you'll recall, once that a receiver gets appointed and the work is done, then the cost of that work becomes a priority lien. And so, of course, the law wants to make sure everybody gets notice of that. So hopefully within a week or so that we're in a position of moving forward with that.
Our building official did move forward with requesting some estimates from local contractors on cleanup. And this was done over the course of the last several days. The range in costs are anywhere from $2,500 to $11,300. The hope would be that we could take this particular cleanup effort down the course that our city attorney has described. In the event that we're unsuccessful or unable to successfully pursue that, we have limited funds available for that work, but should you wish to have staff evaluate what we won't do as a result of stepping in to clean up, we can frame it in that fashion in a return staff report.
Is there any comments from council? It's a lot of money, so, and that's just one property, so. Yeah. Seeing none. All right. The next item, is there any comments from our city clerk here today? None. Okay. We're going to take a 3-minute break and go into closed session. But I want to thank everybody for coming out and for all your hard work. Thank you.